What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode. We are back. As you can tell, myself and Sam, we might be wearing the Meta glasses. These are, honestly, I just got mine 2-3 days ago. Sam, you got yours today. Initial impressions, man, these are really, really cool. The video quality is better than I thought it would be. The audio quality is better than I thought it would be. I think Meta did something really, really interesting here with these glasses, and this collab with Ray-Ban is honestly one of the most impressive hardware consumer products I've seen in a long time. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, well, this is like where we could circle back to last week with the whole Dan Ives conversation, where I think we're transitioning, I wouldn't say completely from the cell phone, but I feel like in the next, like maybe by the time we have children, I don't think it's going to be every kid has a cell phone. I think every kid is going to have some sort of wearable device or something or another, like maybe something a lot more complex than this. Like maybe you could actually see everything, like something like a virtual reality without walking around looking like you're on Jupiter. Like how because like you see people now and it's just like, man, you're looking like you're up to some weird stuff. But I'm really impressed. I'm going to be using these for a lot of content. It's so versatile where I'm already thinking of just so many things. And like you did say, the audio, extremely impressed with the audio. It's as
So we're
crispy.
bullish on Meta now?
Man,
I
We've
I
called
mean,
been
I
bullish on
called
Meta.
Meta
yeah,
weeks ago.
we've been bullish on Meta.
If I would have
I've
bought
been
these glasses in April, I probably would have dumped an extra 100 racks into Meta, realistically, at like $485 a
I
share.
think the big precipice that we have to wait for is AR. And I think VR is going to take a long time. I still think we're probably like 10 years from VR being really successful. I think the next step we see with the glasses is AR, where you can actually play games and things with the glasses on. I know Snapchat with spectacles has been working on this for a long time, but it just hasn't clicked with their ecosystem. But there is a pretty cool suite of tools that I've seen that you can actually develop games for the spectacles. And that's been, Evan Spiegel's big play. And then obviously Zuck swings in and just kind of copies the concept with the Meta glasses. And I've been seeing a lot more people actually create content with the glasses too. I wonder, the most of the content I've seen is like guys going up to girls and being like dropping different pickup lines and being like, "Oh, like, where'd you get that?" And the girl's like, "What?" And the guy's like, "That smile." And it's like, but
Yeah, yeah,
now the girls are starting to catch on and be like, "Oh, you're wearing the Meta glasses."
yeah.
It's
And
kind of like already
and I will
dating.
say, I mean, if you're recording someone, if you're taking a photo, there's like a big bright thing that lights up in the
There's an
glass.
LED. There's an LED light that they put there on
Yeah.
purpose, so you wouldn't do any like
You're not they
sus
don't want you
stuff.
being a creeper,
But
obviously it's
this
still
is the
possible,
thing.
but
It's like so many. Like I'm. Well, the next thing that we need to figure out, because we've only had it for a few days, we need to figure out the durability, and how it reacts to the elements, what's the quality like, stuff like that. That's really important. But from a opening, like from an opening day view, very bullish on the Meta glasses and very bullish on Meta. Speaking of bullish news, as we are currently recording, it is Nvidia earnings. Anyone has those pulled up? How are we doing on the Nvidia earnings?
it's just chop. It's just chop right now. I mean, it's moving a little bit down, a little bit up. I don't think the earnings are out as
It might
of
be four.
right
It
now.
might be
Yeah, we
4:30.
just have a
So
couple of minutes. But then
yeah,
Yeah.
Trump just today saying that he's limiting the exports to China again on the
I'm
chips. I don't know
telling
if you
you,
guys saw that.
I'm telling you, I'm such a fan of Trump, but like I'm like the way that he's just been up, down, left, right, canceling it, going for it. It just seems like there's someone freaking behind the scenes making $1 billion every time he like gives an announcement. You know what I mean? And we also want to find out who is that guy? Who is that whale? The one that takes out the $1 billion longs, the 40x. They call him James Wynn or something. Or actually, no, not
Yeah,
James Wynn.
No,
Not
that's
James
someone
Wynn.
else. That's a
That's
crypto trader.
that's a crypto. My bad. I
there's
got it.
Unusual Whales. I don't know if you guys follow Unusual Whales on
Yeah.
X, but that guy posts crazy ups and downs that people play. Literally right before, Trump's tariffs, you have people literally, shorting the market, and then he rescinds the tariffs. There's people that are well aware. His cronies are getting the inside information,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And then one other thing that actually just happened that I thought was pretty interesting is there's a Beijing International Automotive Show, and basically like they did an expose on all the different cars that China's going to be working on. Everyone's like, these cars are going to blow the U.S. cars out of the market. So it just is interesting to see like the US cars be super successful. I mean, the China cars be super successful. And then, Trump, I don't know if it's retaliatory or what, but, chips are one of the principal things utilized in these new smarter vehicles as well. So some people are speculating that, maybe there was some tie there, and we're kind of getting fearful of how fast China, is evolving within the AI ecosystem compared to where we're at in the US.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really difficult to compete with China because they basically they're playing by their own rules. Like, we have certain rules, regulations, bureaucracies, red tape where companies, they can't just do it. But a lot of the companies, they're subsidized by the Chinese government and they kind of get green lit, to do whatever, along with the fact that they're stealing IP without any repercussions. Just like the same thing that Mr. Wonderful was saying. I mean, he would create a product, right? Put all this money into it, research, development, da da da. And then the Chinese would come, they would just blatantly steal it and sell it in the Chinese market. And guess what? You go and as an American, you go and try to start a lawsuit against the Chinese government as a foreigner. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off, selling me the Brooklyn Bridge. So
Yeah, the market rallied super hard this week, so that was obviously pretty
well
exciting to see
that was
some
because
gains.
of Trump kind of rescinded what he said on Friday, which
Is
tanked
so
him up.
crazy. Like the
Yeah.
market rallies based on him counteracting things that he's said.
Honestly, it's like he's the KOL, he's the top KOL, and he's just like we're stuck on his every word. But this was I mean, do you guys remember what the Jeremy Powell situation was when during the recession where there was a bunch of meetings all the time and everyone would hook on every word and try to decipher he's used this word so the market pumped. No, he said this word so the market tanked. So I think that everybody right now is just
Yeah, I mean,
hanging on to.
people always are looking for the catalyst, right? Well, like that's why KOLs are so impactful, like in the crypto world, right? Like
What's
people always
KOL for
want.
people that don't know?
Yeah, so key opinion leader, right? So usually in the crypto world, there's like a key opinion leader. That's someone who has like a big follower on Twitter, on Telegram, on Discord. And I would say 9 out of 10 times they're shilling like, a coin that they got in earlier or that they're getting paid to shill. Probably 99 out of 100 times that's true, but let's be generous and say 9 out of 10. And people are just hanging on every word. And that's kind of how it was, like Sammy said, with Jerome Powell. And that's how it is with Trump. Obviously Trump is dictating policy. Jerome is dictating policy. So there are reasons why like Wall Street and big institutionals are like following exactly what they're saying and reacting like as if their word is gospel or whatever. But I think people just are looking for any kind of information, and the market is inching back up, and it actually is. I think as of yesterday it was like 4%. The S&P was from back to all time highs, which is kind of insane because a month ago, 5-6 weeks ago, we were in extreme fear at like 4 out of 100. People were literally saying it's over, my retirement is gone, I can't, I'm GG, like. And I'm not saying we don't go back to that. I'm just saying it's always important to like think back where we are today, and although it is a bit of a red day, we can say wow, like we thought, we're here, we're alive, like things are good. And if that
I
happens
still
again,
think
like
we're on a
always remember
tightrope
that.
though. Yeah,
I
I
think
just
so
don't
too.
see until we cross the threshold of the relationship with China and the EU. I think we were going to be walking on a tightrope. And I don't think we see substantial all-time highs until we cross over that. Like obviously America is seemingly doing well, but one thing I also wanted to bring up today was that we haven't heard a lot from Doge recently, and there seems to be a bit of a falling out between Elon and Trump as well. So
Yeah.
like we haven't heard a lot of rhetoric recently about the effectiveness of Doge and their cutting of different things and all that. And Trump has definitely put that whole story on the back burner in place of, other stories going after China, talking about the
Yeah.
war in Ukraine has become, another topic. But the internal resolution has not become a big topic again. And obviously that's not impacting the market greatly. And Elon has gone back to his companies, which, obviously also could present a certain opportunity with Tesla. And then, it'd be interesting to see if SpaceX chooses to go public this year. But I have seen, in my opinion, a pretty big division between Trump and Elon. I mean, I'm personally making that a call this episode. Is I think we almost see a full split of Trump and Elon in the next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think what happened was they did everything a little too public. Everything was a little bit too much in the people's faces, and it was very much you could understand how some people thought that it was a very much an oligarchy type of, all the rich, powerful tech leaders were invited, and they have a seat at the table, and it's very suspicious. So I think that this could be for optics as well as let's be honest, he was letting Tesla slack a little bit because he wasn't really using all his efforts on his companies, which he has a bunch of them. So I think it's good that he's taking a step back from Doge. Well, there's a bunch of qualified people, that could take care of it, that are looking into it, looking into the waste, fraud, and all the mismanagement. But I know you touched up with the whole. That's a big story now too, with the well, there was an assassination attempt on
Yeah.
Putin
Let me
by.
so Sam, before we jump there, we gotta talk a little bit more about this Doge thing. So someone I know not very well personally, but briefly worked with him. Sahil Lavigna, the founder of Gumroad, on Twitter, I think yesterday or today, posted that he was actually kind of secretly working at Doge. And this is like he's like a really, really high level engineer, high level founder. He was working for free, just wanted to volunteer his time. And he said he's no longer there because they just one day revoked his access. And this is kind of a broader theme. I will say, unfortunately, I had high hopes for Doge. I think a lot of really well-meaning people wanted to enact change, and they were maybe saving 200 million here, 300 million here, a billion here, a billion there. But like I've said on every episode pretty much since the beginning, we are in a unsustainable spiral. The economy is our economy, and really the global financial system, is just based on growth at all costs, right? So you have, there are people who are trying to do Doge in places like the VA and things like Medicare and things like Medicaid. There is almost nothing that they can do that they will be allowed to actually do. Because again, if my belief, and we can clip
I
this.
don't fully agree with that, but yeah, you can keep going.
Yeah, I mean, but my belief is, just to wrap the point up, I think there is on the low end probably 2 to 3 trillion in fraud on the low end on a yearly basis. And if people realize that, it would be GG. And I don't think they're ever gonna let that like really be brought into light. Like there's people at Doge who have come out and said like, yeah, we just weren't able to do some things that we wanted to do. It's just out of our control, and it's not a great sign when people like that are like losing faith. So again, we talked about it last week. The Big Beautiful Bill, great name, but it looks like, in all honesty, it's going to be inflationary, which means dollars go down, risk on assets go up, and we kind of continue this like we need more growth, otherwise the whole system collapses model. But if you disagree, I mean, I'd love
Yeah,
to
I
hear
mean, the
your
government
thoughts.
has to spend money like to propel industry forward. There's no argument there. I think China's done an excellent job of that. They give a lot of subsidies to businesses. They really encourage innovation. They allow citizens to take risks, even though they don't call themselves, a capitalist country. They, encourage a lot of entrepreneurship. Within the US, it's very difficult to get loans. You can get loans from the, Small Business Administration, but the paperwork, is unruly. It takes a very long time, and like the most capital you can potentially get is like $1 million, which is good, to start a business. But if you really want to tackle, a prominent industry, or be aggressive, there's just not nearly as many means to work with the government. You basically have to work fully privately, which is fine. We've kind of sponsored, the private industry of investment through venture capital, private equity, whatever. But I do think, unfortunately, with Doge, that Doge has just not really had like a very clear North Star of what they're hoping to accomplish and who they're hoping to, capture the money from. So I think one thing with Doge is they have a bunch of teenagers, working in this administration. And I think that's fine. Like obviously these people are really smart, but in working in different labor forces with younger people, they have to be very organized and they have to be very, basically managed in order to accomplish the, task. And they're going to be willing to work harder than almost anybody. But the thing is that it just doesn't, I don't feel that Elon is like the ultimate manager personally. Like I think he's a really good figurehead of Tesla and these different companies, and he can have this like really broad, big vision, and he can like really motivate people. But then underneath Elon, he has all these like lieutenants and generals and, colonels, whatever you want to call them. And it just doesn't seem that Doge is like very united in like what they're trying to tackle. It's like one day, let's go after fraud with Medicare. And then the next day it's like, oh, let's cut this. And then the next day they're cutting something that they shouldn't
I
have
think that's
cut.
more of a PR. That's more of a PR thing.
Yeah, but it just
They're
doesn't
throwing
seem super
stuff out there.
organized.
Yeah.
If it was organized, the PR would be organized, right? We found this, we're going to
Yeah.
go after this. we're going to select that and we're going to do XYZ. They just haven't been able to execute on that.
Yeah, no, I don't even disagree with that. I mean, I will say they're more than just teenagers. Like I mentioned, the Sahil, who's super successful and just wanted to volunteer his time, and a lot of people actually ended up doing that too. Just the last thing is, one stat I saw.
But if he just got cut and didn't understand why he got cut, like, doesn't that clearly signal like a lack of
exactly.
organization?
I think yeah, exactly. And I think it's more so that a lot of people were getting close to the third rail, and I think people just said like, hey, like we can't have this. Let's just shut it down, change the narrative, and Doge is gonna be kind of more of a meme than anything. Like a crazy stat that I saw on Twitter, we can verify this. I'm almost positive it's right, is that 40% of people under the age of like 18 or something or are on like Medicaid in the US. And if you extrapolate that like 20, 30 years into the future, we're going to be at a point where like 70 to 80% of the country is on like Medicare or Medicaid, and private insurance for family of like four is probably going to be like 150, $200,000 a year, or it's just no insurance. So like, there's just things like that I see happening.
There's clearly abuse with that
Yeah.
system. Like, no one's going to debate that issue, but if like that's, for example, the biggest target that they've identified as, waste or abuse,
Well, the problem is
they need. I feel that they could. I mean, if the system is broken, where they're basically saying like, okay, this Medicare Medicaid system is broken. There's way too many people, claiming benefits that aren't eligible. We need to do something about this. All the resources that we have are going to be dedicated to this as the first priority, and we're going to like check that box. But instead of doing that, they're going after like 30 different things at once in a disorganized fashion, and it's basically leading to no results. And I think, obviously everyone wants to prove a win really quickly, but you need to at least kind of get something on the board that's successful. And then just the constant negative rhetoric that they've had, over and over again, is damaged not only, Elon's personal reputation, but has hurt Trump at this point. And then I think just breaking news during this pod was that Wall Street Journal just published that Elon tried to block Sam Altman's big AI deal in the Middle East. So the story there is that OpenAI led a group of American technology giants to build the largest artificial intelligence data center in Abu Dhabi. And Elon was essentially trying to sabotage the deal because he was not included in the party,
I
and
mean, also,
it's very
he hates Sam Altman. Just
hates him big time. And he has reason to. He definitely has reason to, but obviously he filed lawsuit against Sam Altman. It didn't go anywhere. And then, he basically tries to leverage his relationship with Trump to prevent this deal from going through. And, now it's still going to go through, and Elon looks really bad. This article's, been published by New York Times, Bloomberg, multiple YouTube sources. So there's clearly a falling out there. I'm interested just in what will shake out here. But I think Sam Altman is starting to gain more favor within the Trump administration than Elon, because ChatGPT's global impact, is massive. It's a huge, win for the United States to have ChatGPT, existing internally. I don't know what you guys think.
100%. I mean, we want to be the AI leader. We don't want DeepSeek. We don't want the Chinese AI models and programs to be the ones leading and the ones that other countries are utilizing. I mean, there's news that came out that the UAE is giving every citizen a free ChatGPT subscription, right? So that's $20 a month per citizen. I think it's interesting. Like the more developed Middle Eastern countries, the UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, they're very forward thinking because they understand that, hey, our money came from oil. And if we run out of oil and we haven't transformed our economy, then we're going to go back to, to the way we were living, in the early, in the mid 1900s, which was not a very lavish lifestyle. So, they're on the forefront of this, and I'm sure they're going to make a ton of like kind of careless and crazy investments, right? Hoping that they catch the next wave. But I think AI is an obvious bet, and whether it's going to be ChatGPT or something else, I think betting on ChatGPT is a successful strategy. Obviously, there's personal beef between Elon and Sam Altman. Like we said, we don't fully trust Sam Altman. I don't fully trust anyone, but definitely not Sam Altman. So we'll have to see how that all plays out.
So Nvidia earnings just came out too.
Yeah.
So revenue 44 billion, estimated 43 billion, earnings per share 96 cents, estimated 75 cents. So
wow, it killed
exceeded both.
Yeah, Nvidia earnings are definitely better than people wanted. It's up.
Whoa,
It's up 3.
Whoa, but not enough
The
earnings
market.
though.
The market
It's up
isn't tanking right now.
2.78% after hours right now.
Yeah, let me look at
2.75.
SPY after hours. I bought Apple puts right before.
S&P is up to 0.24 after hours, but
S&P is dumping after hours, bro.
I'm on
The
I'm
S&P
on
is dumping.
I'm on
You got you. I don't know. I'm looking at the live. I'm looking at the live numbers. It's down. It's flying down. Let me just pull up TradingView. Yeah, it's dumping. Anyway, I mean,
The
we'll
biggest
we'll
issue is
see.
they're just so reliant on China, and they've been limited in what they can sell to China. We just don't know what's going to happen with China right now.
Nvidia, it's actually more reliant on like the mega corporations. Like I know that Microsoft and one other company makes up like 60% of their business. Something really, really huge for their chips. But no, like you said, there's too many moving factors with this whole China problem with the Trump. We don't know. It's almost impossible. How are you supposed to plan for something where Trump
You need to buy more Trump coin, and then you can go to Trump's rally and
Hey,
ask him these questions
But you know what?
firsthand.
You know
hey.
what's so funny? This is why I like Trump. Trump is such a mafia boss. Like, if you talk to Trump,
That's what I love in a
I
president.
released a coin. Oh, is it any good? It's good. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's like it's like
It's good for Solana.
it's that mafia boss that comes out. It's like, what about the murder? Oh, they got killed. They're gone. No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me for the first time. I didn't know about it.
The funniest thing too is like there's an episode of like when the Diddy trial stuff started first happening, and like no one really knew anything too much. Like some people are saying some stuff. Trump's like, I think he's a good guy, you know, and there's like a lot of pictures of him and Diddy hanging out, blah blah blah. And then recently there's an interview with Trump like talking about Diddy, and he's like, you know, I have no association to this guy. I never knew this guy, you know,
I don't
friends of
even know
friends
him.
knew him. Like,
Listen,
I never met
so
the guy.
funny.
and
Never met the guy.
Trump lives by a couple like ideas, and one of them is like you never take a loss, you never ever admit to a loss,
And never admit defeat.
Exactly. I mean, because you really don't gain anything.
It's good principles, though.
You don't. In reality, you never ever gain anything by admitting that you lost. It actually just demoralizing, and it hypes up your opponent. So you always have to have a winner's mentality. It doesn't matter if you're going up against the world. You go at it like you're gonna beat it, and that's the only way.
Yeah, like you're
beat
Usain Bolt.
Exactly.
You've been training your whole life. There's no reason you can't win.
And you know who the people who never ever succeed are the people who sit and find every single problem, and they think they're so smart, and they're like, "Oh, I'm thinking it out."
Because you always work through the problems.
There is no
Yeah,
work.
you have to be a little bit delusional in life to
Life is
reach
delusional,
like
man.
great
If you're
success.
not delusional,
You know what I'm saying? You have to be a little bit
house.
delusional.
If you weren't delusional, you wouldn't leave your house. You wouldn't get in a car. You wouldn't touch a girl. All of those things, add those things up, deadlier than anything you can imagine. How many people die in a car?
Yo, somebody clip that. Somebody clip that.
So this is the thing. Life is delusional, man. You're either a winner or a loser. There's everything in life. I don't care if it's writing my name or making $1 million. You're either a winner or a loser. So it's everything. I don't care if I'm think about it. You're in a dark alley. 5 dudes come up to you. What do you gain by saying, well, they're going to kick my ass? Like, no, you go and you attack with everything you have. And guess what? Maybe, just maybe, you have a 1% chance that God helps you, is on your side, and they've run away. They weren't about it. But you gain absolutely nothing from being fearful. And that's why you have to lose it. It's like a weakness. You have to cut the weakness off, or it's just gonna continue to grow. So that's my main opinion.
Yo, welcome to the motivational podcast with Sammy B.
I'm ready. I'm ready now.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's get it. Now.
Listen,
this guy is
So speaking of winners, we got to move on to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, so
for the week.
Crypto, it's like I said, this is actually the second week If
you have no exposure to cryptocurrency right now, then you are going to be severely behind, I think, in the next 60 days. And I don't say that lightly. See DJT, Trump's public company announcing that they're going to buy $2.5 billion of Bitcoin. And then GameStop today announces that they're going to buy $500 million of Bitcoin, which is very big for, a video game company that's been struggling. So Trump giving this big backing, we have public companies, more and more public companies getting in on holding reserves in crypto. It just seems crazy to not either own Robinhood stock, Coinbase stock, own, a good level of Bitcoin if you actually want to have full exposure. But I just don't see any universe that we don't see a massive surge, in the next 60 to 90 days.
If you don't have crypto exposure, you are living in the last century. I mean, people really don't understand that. I'll tell you this, if you're not well versed in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence, in the next 5 years, you're going to be at the same playing level as a 7-year-old little girl. You know what I mean? It's not going to matter because the way things are moving and the how fast technology is advancing, it's going to be how you breathe. It's like if someone told you today, if, like you met some kid today and he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to use the phone. I mean, I've never been online." You would think that they're either lying to you or
Yeah.
severely ill. So it's going to be the same. It's going
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, it's extremely obvious. Again, I'm not, we all have, we'll have like various crypto positions. Again, whether or not we like crypto, whether or not you like crypto, you think it's a good idea. I think if you don't have some exposure, either through knowledge at the very, very least, or actually through like owning various assets, ideally like Bitcoin is the foundation. Unfortunately, you're not going to be in a great financial position if things like what we see happen and continue to happen. If we see the deficit go insane, then
Did
yeah, I
you
mean,
not
fiat's
say? I
going
have
to
a
be
question. Did
debased.
you not say earlier in the episode that it was too late? If it's too late,
Well,
you
that's
should.
what I'm saying. I
If
mean, I
it's
think
too
I
late,
think it might be.
if it's
This
too
was
late, you
one of the
should
last
have
chances.
90% of your portfolio in cryptocurrency. Because think about it. Think about it. Trump is a businessman, correct? Everybody's crying about this big, beautiful bill. If what you're seeing is true and Trump says, well, the ship is sinking, guess what? We're going to print as much money as we can while converting our reserves from dollars to Bitcoin. And then that's going to be the biggest wealth transfer that ever happened in history. That's my
I
it's a
also think
load.
that people
Load.
don't need to have exposure to Bitcoin directly. I personally have majority of my portfolio in stocks that are related to crypto. So Coinbase and Robinhood are kind of my two holds. And I personally like those better just because like they're not full exposure just to crypto. You still have like the stock market balance to the crypto. And then Coinbase obviously is very, full crypto, but is balanced out by not just being full Bitcoin. Whereas obviously a stock like MicroStrategy is full Bitcoin exposure, but you're not actually even holding the asset. And you also have the, in my opinion, downside of being related to Michael Saylor, who I don't have a problem with. I just think that, people are shaky with him.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some interesting stuff about how this might be a MicroStrategy in 2000 2.0 right here, where
Oh my
the rug
god,
gets
yo!
pulled.
I need a bell. I need a bell. Every time Ben starts fudding,
You do need a
I'm
bell.
gonna start
Hey,
ringing a bell.
look at
The
this guy. I'm
tinfoil.
I've
Bitcoin
literally,
holder since
bro,
2017, and
yo,
I'm the one that's
listen,
fudding.
yo, Dakota, you ever read Edgar Allan Poe?
Look at
Yeah.
this guy.
That sad little depressed man. Boom.
Yo, that's me, bro. Yo, Sam, you see, I put you onto Bitcoin before you even knew what it was. No problem. Listen,
I
listen.
bought more
No more
Bitcoin.
bickering on the
Wait.
pod.
I'll say this: yes or no. I bought more Bitcoin in the first week after I found out what Bitcoin was than you have since 6 years of knowing what Bitcoin is.
Oh, that's not true.
That
But
is true.
it's fine. We
That
don't
is
have to talk
true.
about this on the pod.
Ben bought more Shiba Inu coin than anybody that I know.
No, I never got Shiba.
The thing is, like, Trump consistently does things to benefit his own
People.
revenues
Yeah.
and people. The people that are around him get rich. He makes himself rich. He's made $1 billion per month since he was elected president. There's no world that he's not going to do something to continue to boost the price of cryptocurrency because he's a huge holder. He would not put his own monies in crypto if he didn't think that was one of the
Exactly.
fastest ways for him to get even richer than he is now. So to not follow that approach in the same way that people now follow Nancy Pelosi's investments, right? It's just such a dumb move to not do what these people who are clearly corrupt, and you can acknowledge if he's corrupt or not, right? There's obviously a level of towing the line with him, but he's consistently had this behavior. Behaviors repeat themselves, and you're going to lose, in my opinion, the next 90 days if you don't have crypto exposure. You're not going to lose, but you're not going to gain.
and it's even more so just 90. I think just I would even think on a longer time horizon, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years. But again,
I'm optimistic long term, but
Yeah.
I think we can easily be saying 30, 40, 50%
yeah.
returns at least in the next 90 days.
Listen, if we
I
break
mean,
a certain point,
What are you guys calling for Bitcoin price by the end of the year right now?
350.
350.
155.
I think 175 we end the year. But I
All
wouldn't be
right, clip
surprised
it,
if we go
chat.
higher and come
Let's
down.
do. You guys want to do a little prop bet? Do a
Yeah,
little
sure.
prop bet live on the pod.
We'll do $1,000 to whoever's the closest. So we each have to pay up $1,000.
Yeah, I was thinking $100
And
bucks,
whoever's-
bro. I was thinking a C note.
Yeah, well, that's because you keep losing all your money in Vegas.
Yeah, yo, Ben's
Me and
on,
Sam been saving up.
Ben's Bro, Ben's going back. Ben's going back to Vegas tomorrow, bro.
Ben's got to lose more money.
Yeah.
This has been a good episode.
Listen, guys, we covered a great amount of topics, so I think we're killing it on this one. We got a lot of good clips on this one.
All right, everybody,
Hell
thank you
yeah.
for tuning in. If you haven't already, remember
I
to
need some
like.
meta glasses.
Remember,
Yeah,
remember
Meta
to
boys.
like on YouTube, share this with your friends, and honestly, if you really enjoy the content, just leave a comment, reach out to us, man. Tell us what do you think.
We want to
we'd
have
love
some
to hear
good
it.
guests on the pod too. So if anyone's
if you're a
got
heavy
some
hitter,
interesting points,
yep. If you're a heavy hitter, if you're interesting.
Last thing, guys. Yo, shout out RTS Tactical. I just became the official influencer sponsor for their company. Got back to me today. So
Hey, look at this guy with the
little
plug.
plug.
All right, boys.
all right, thanks, boys. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Peace.